when we have kids, we are the providers, and not just providers of money. We have to be providers of structure. We have to be providers of teaching, not just leaving it to the school or YouTube or whatever they're watching to teach them and raise them.
The fact that sometimes like things feel like really hard because you're doing them right, because you care, because you're trying to do the best that you can.
It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt. Save up your money. It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt. They know that we coming. It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt.
Hey y'all, welcome to this episode of Revolucian. I'm Kahlil King. I'm here today with my close friend Andrew. We're gonna talk some today about family and just the build of family and then the build of community and then the sense of like society and belonging to a society and a village, and maybe how that's been lost and holes in family and different stuff with orchestrating a business and a life, but still keeping family at the forefront of it all. Hey, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for having me today. Pleasure to finally be here and your podcast. It's been a long time coming. I'm super pumped and excited that, you got it going.
Yeah, man. All glory to God, man. We cooking now, brother. So, yeah, I'm excited to see some of the stuff we're going to be able to talk about, and not mostly just getting views and entertaining people, but actually educating, informing, and directing people a little bit, like giving somebody something to better their life each episode, you know what I'm saying, where they can learn and they can pull something from it, whether it's finances, whether it's being educated on a different subject, but just coming from each podcast a better person and being able to orchestrate themselves in their day-to-day a little bit better than when they before they watched it.
1% better, for sure. And I think it's a great thing that you're doing it and you're keeping it very like dynamic, and there's like multiple areas, right? Because a lot of people nowadays don't like to talk on certain areas because they feel like, oh, I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not going to touch on that. And you don't really need to be an expert to just give your opinion, right? And in my opinion as well, like we normally forget how much we know on certain things. So like, for example, for me, a lot of the times, because I did kind of like had a career change, if you will, and went into a different industry, a lot of the times I do get some of that like imposter syndrome, like, oh my God, like I don't know enough of this, so I'm not gonna act like as if I'm the expert. And then once I start talking to other people, they're like, oh my God, you know a lot about this, like how'd you learn? And it's like, to me, it's like, I didn't know. Like it just came natural to me. Like I learned all this stuff in passing. I learned all this stuff from experience and from things that we've had to deal with here at the company. And so like it's information that it's there in our brains that a lot of times we forget, we compartmentalize, and we don't think that we know a lot. But a lot of the times we do know a lot more than the average person that is not on that field. And so like to be able to communicate that to all of you viewers and everybody out there that is looking to get better, and just provide that value where they can get it for absolutely free and continue learning. It's just something great to do, So right. I'm really happy that you're going like in very broad into like all these different topics.
Yeah, definitely, man. And with anything, you belong at that table, man. So like we have an opportunity now with cell phones to know everything. I was telling somebody, man, that can be a dangerous thing and a good thing. But the good side of it is we have access to all the information in the world, basically the known information, in a touch of our hands. So like anything you're not educated or intelligent on, you can be intelligent on. You can spend the time looking at that. You know what I'm saying? So everything is just a click away or a scroll away from you being more educated and more knowledgeable about any subject we talk about, or any subject that interests somebody. So yeah, man, it's like we did in a new age where it's like you have access to what people have in college and PhDs in a touch of a, you know what I'm saying, within a couple of hours of doing research and digging,
right.
You're there.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a cool time to be alive, man. It's a cool time. It's a dangerous time because, like we were saying, the over consumption of knowledge being available can be dangerous. But it's a cool time, man. That's some of the stuff I'm going to touch in with this podcast.
What I would argue to say is that there's just so much information that a lot of the times is not accurate information, right? So what I would encourage everybody that's listening to you or listening to all the content out there online is just like, think for yourself. Like, be a free thinker. Like, listen and learn and consume knowledge that you're interested in, but just like try to reason for yourself and be like, okay, this makes sense to me. I'm going to adopt this. Like, this doesn't make sense to me until either somebody explains it better or until it does make sense to me. I'm not going to do this because it just doesn't make sense to me, right? So, because a lot of the times we start following people or trying to emulate things that we see online, and it's just not like the best way to go about our own path, right? And like there are certain things that I think like there is just so much value, and the most important thing for ourselves is to be free thinkers.
Right.
Is for us to say like, okay, I'm gonna analyze this on my own, based on my own lens, and then not to say that you're gonna be closed-minded, right? You have to be open-minded. If somebody comes and tells you like, oh, this is that and this is that and this is that, and it makes it make sense for you, then okay, great. Now you've leveled up, you've learned, you've discerned that information a little bit better because somebody explained it to you. But otherwise, like, don't just like take things at face value, in my opinion, right?
Oh, of course. But in today, everybody with a cell phone has access to people's thoughts. Like like somebody can scroll just to kill time on their lunch break. And you can scroll and you'll get the opinion of 240 people within a lunch break. And the thing is, we think it's entertainment. So sometimes we mask it as entertainment, or at least that's the lie we tell ourselves. And it is entertaining. I've been there too, man. I've been a scroller for hours and you wonder like where the time went. But if we look deeply, it's like somebody eating food, and I eat a bunch of food. I'm like, I'm just tasting it. Some of the food is out of the trash. Some of the food has poison. And then I come from that meal and think I'm going to be unaffected. So when we're scrolling, when we're given access to all these different people, all these different groups, all this different knowledge and opinions of knowledge and takes and what people think of this and what people's idea of this is and what their perspective is or what they might be going through in life, and we shove that down our throat, we eating it all and we consuming it all. And then we come from it just thinking we've been entertained, but we've been affected. And that's what I want people to understand mostly is what you watching, what you consuming. It's just like what you eat, and you're being affected. So be careful a little bit. Be careful a lot of what you're consuming. Just the same way somebody watches what they eat. They know if they eat from McDonald's every day, they'll be obese, have heart problems, all this stuff that comes with eating unhealthy.
Yeah.
But we have to look at scrolling and tapping into Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, movies, conversations, everything. Understand that we're consuming. We're consuming, and it's having an effect on us.
Absolutely. See, the funny part is that I was very anti like social media before I went into marketing, right? And I'm still very anti social media. Like, I just got a new phone. I'm not downloading any like social media platforms on it. And my old phone has all of my social media platforms because I need it for work. Like, I didn't have TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or X before I, started Media Minds. I had Facebook. And the only reason I have Facebook is because I have family overseas and friends overseas, and I kind of like, it was the tool that I used to stay in touch with them. Right? So social media, I think, is very powerful. Everything you see in there, are smoke and mirrors. If it wasn't for business, I probably wouldn't be on any. I think like using it as entertainment, this may come a little harsh, but using it as entertainment is like a utterly waste of your time. I think you should be entertaining yourself in a real way, like having friends like face to face and developing those like, like relationships that are like deep, meaningful relationships, right? Not to say that you cannot develop like relationships online, because some like really good friends that I have started online. So there's the argument say like, okay, you can still use it in a deep, meaningful way, but the reality is majority of people don't, right? And like most of us, we just get trapped into like doom scrolling and spending our time. So like this is my opinion. It's like for business, you have to. It's almost impossible to think that you're going to be able to compete with other businesses that are utilizing social media as as a marketing tool. So you're almost forced to use it. But for personal use, I would say it's like you have to keep it educational. You have to keep it in a way that is helping you grow, right? Like listening to podcasts like this, listening to things that are like sharpening your skills.
Definitely.
Like majority of my consumption is YouTube. Like I'm huge on YouTube, and YouTube is the biggest like how-to search engine in the world. Like when you're trying to figure out how to do something, and that's what it is. Like I don't spend any time on X really because I feel like X is just a lot of people giving their opinions. That's mainly like the entire platform, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing, Instagram is like the real like the sunshine and rainbows world that everybody lives on Instagram, and everybody's doing great, and everybody shows like the best of the best, like the living their best lives and all that stuff. I'm not huge in like seeing a lot of that stuff. That's just me personally. I like to watch a lot of educational content, a lot of things that is going to help me. It's going to help me get better at how to get better at my job, how to get better with my family, how to be a better dad, how to be a better parent. Oh, like it's just anything that has a purpose and it's intentional, right?
Yeah.
But I do get carried away with YouTube a bit.
Of course, man, we all do, and it's I think people should see it for what it is. It is entertainment. It is interesting because you get to see so much so quick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's obviously orchestrated. It's obvious there's some kind of driving force behind why it's built, the reason behind why it's built, and the purpose. So the purpose is never to educate the public, I don't think. I think it was more built so maybe the powers that be could get us zombified, man. And we find ourselves zombified. Like it's just a over access to information. And it's like if we saw in a different light, we're all like information obese and out of shape because we're just gorging so much information all day, every day off this social media type platform. I think the only way to fix this, and I think what it would need to be, society would need to make this move, and that's what I would recommend for anybody watching this, including myself, because I want to go on this. But sometimes start off with, say, a social media fast, because we full of like dopamine fixes and likes and interested in people's business that we'll never meet, and celebrity business and what this person did and what this rapper beefing with this rap about, or some little weird stuff like that. And the point is, we just have an overabundance. So I think it should be like anything. If somebody, every doctor that meets somebody that comes in with like at least 90% of the symptoms that they might come in with, should tell them first thing we're going to do is fast and change your eating habits. Like that would solve so much of our health problems. But we have to do the same thing with the mental problems. So right now in the average American, and I'm just speaking about Americans because that's what I'm tied into here in America. But the average American is viewing so much of social media, at least adults and kids too, because even my daughters, I supply them with a phone, you know what I'm saying? And I'm learning more and more with that might not be the way to go, is these electronics for kids.
No,
at least not all day,
not.
every day. Yeah, and I do cut it down, and it did get like an hour here, an hour there, but they have access to the world, and the world has access to them, and that's a dangerous place to be. But I think we should be getting to a place where we fasten off social media, when we unplugging, and we becoming, like you kind of tapped on, we becoming more present in our life and what's going on here. And I'm telling you, man, people would have a growth spurt in whatever you're trying to do in life, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, and just cleaning house if you unplugged a little bit. Stop with the comparison, because comparison would lead to depression and, you know what I'm saying, just anxiety and all this other stuff that come from just knowing everything that everybody's doing all the time, and what they're wearing and how people are living. Like, regardless, unplug a little bit, fast a little bit. See if you can go, and it's an addictive thing. Like, it's proven in science, it's addicting. So we need to unplug. We need to fast from it a little bit and let ourselves kind of understand how to entertain ourselves, how to build our attention span back, and build our presence with our family, our jobs, whatever you deem important in your life. Like, really unplugging and giving this all that abundance of hours and hours of attention. They have this app on my phone that tells you how much you spend on social media. Mm-hmm. And man, I'm telling you, in like a week, it's up there like.
It was a full-time job, huh? Right?
Yeah.
Like 40 hours,
crazy.
somewhere around there?
Yep.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, like, I think it was a great segue to talk about, like, how that affects to, like, your family and your kids. Because, like, you know, we are supposed to be the protectors, right? We're supposed to be the protectors, the providers. And we, as the head of our families, are supposed to keep all the evil and the harm and everything away, right? And when there's just, like, an open source of things that may not necessarily align with our values and what we believe in, it's confusing. You know, when you have kids, for example, when they're young and they see, you know, if you as the dad tell them, like, hey, we act this way, we handle ourselves a certain way, we are respectful, we do this, we do that, with, you know, all the good things that we're trying to instill in our kids. But then they go in their little iPod and then they see how maybe, like, other kids behave that are not being instilled those values and those principles and those things, or how they're disrespectful of, like, all these other things, right? It could be like a series of things. That starts influencing on how they'll act. And hopefully we're able to do a good enough job where, like, once they're a little bit older, they have that in them and they're like, no, we don't act that way. But the more you have of that environment around, like, so for example, we bought an iPod for Ethan about a year ago, right? He's turning 3 now. He's used it twice. And the 2 times that he's used it was because we were on, like, long road trips. Like, we went to North Carolina once, and it was like 8 hours, I think. And it was like, okay, well, he's getting a little bit older. Like, you know, he's going to get bored in the car seat. Like, okay, let's give him the iPod so he can watch, like, something educational.
Right.
And obviously he's, like, still a toddler. So I haven't had the experience, like, what is it like when he, you know, it's a young boy, when he's 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, or when he becomes a teenager, you know? Like, with our girls, with Haley, you know, I got in her life when she was around 12, 13, and I was so focused on, you know, becoming, like, financially free again and achieving the goals of finances side of things and the business side of things, that I don't think I was as present as I would have liked to be able to say, like, hey, put down the phone down a little bit with social media. Like, don't use that too much, you know, right. Or like, so that's, like, a big thing now that I think about it, is like, I should have been more present in that, because at the end of the day, she grew. Now she's 20, you know? So it's like, all those things could have made a difference back then. And so, you know, for a lot of people out there, like, you know, especially young parents, you know, it's like, okay, how do they protect their kids best from all this craziness of the world, right? It's like limiting, in a way, like, the amount of social media intake, the amount of screen time, you know, like, not that we're talking about social media, but there's several other ways, I think. But what is something, for example, that you do with your kids that you think it's helping them, you know, limit that exposure that you don't want them to have?
Good question, man. I think a lot of times it's when they get to that certain age, it's talking to them. Mm-hmm. It's talking to them and explaining to them, instead of just setting rules and boundaries. They're, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like most parents in today are okay with different sources raising our kids. Like the school raises the kids, like they teach them this and that. We come home, we make sure they're fed, make sure they take a shower, and then we get to bed and we do it again. And on the weekend, we might go to the park and all this. But it's being a little more hands-on, like actually being involved in raising them. Because it's a difference between taking care of a child and raising a child. And I think most people, we can get lost sometimes in just taking care of a child, making sure they eat, they got clothes, they're entertained, how was school, da-da-da-da, and just going through this kind of passive routine with our kids. And we all been there. Sometimes you just have to shake it and get more involved. And sometimes that can be unplugging from whatever you're doing, whether it's job, social media, the phone, whatever you have going on, and just plugging into them and being present in the moment with them. Like, hey, what's going on? Da-da-da-da. Okay, how did you deal with that problem at school? Oh, okay, cool. And when it came to the phone and social media and stuff, just telling them, hey, you only gonna have an hour. But let me tell y'all why. Let me tell y'all how this isn't healthy for y'all. Like, man, your brain's still developing. Now, I'd rather you go outside and play. I'd rather you do some exercise. I'd rather hang out with you. I'd rather, if we're gonna do something, let's watch something together. If we really wanna watch something and be entertained, let's do it together. Let's go for a walk. Let's wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Let's play box. Let's cook together. Let's do all these little different activities that's a lot more intimate and hands-on and family-orientated than just like, okay, I'm good on my phone. I'm playing the game. And she's good over there. Her sister's good. Okay,
yeah, she's alive.
Good. Yeah, right. And then we're back to it. And it's all good because everybody's healthy. Everybody's good. Okay, then we're solid. And that's not enough. And I get it. Life can be overbearing, it can be overwhelming, and it be time consuming. And sometimes we get home and it's like, okay, as long as they're good and they're entertained, I can debrief and turn off and get in my own space, in my own world. But when we have kids, kind of what you were saying, we are the providers, and not just providers of money, but we have to be providers of structure. We have to be providers of teaching, not just leaving it to the school or YouTube or whatever they're watching to teach them and raise them while we take care of them, but actually have a very big hand in raising them. Like, trust yourself as a parent, man.
Something that you said, I think it's like such an important piece, you know, that's one of those like golden nuggets, is like being present with them is so important. Like being intentional with them. This is something like, so I remember a while ago, I was having one of those days, right? Like everything was going wrong at work, everything was going wrong at the house. Like I think the little guy was having like a meltdown. It was a tantrum. Things were upside down, and it's just one of those days. And I was just like, man, this is so hard. And I started like, you know, just like being like, oh, being a dad is so hard. And I called a good friend of mine. He's a bit of a mentor to me in a couple of different areas. And I was like, man, this is really tough. I was like, you know, being a new dad, it's in trying to juggle like the businesses and you know, a lot of the times even you know, like me skipping, like me being on my fitness journey, trying to like stay consistent on the gym. There's not enough hours in the day sometimes and all this stuff. But anyway, I called him back and I called him and I'm like, hey, man, I'm just having one of those days. This is like really tough. And I was like, I feel like a shitty dad and all this stuff. And he was like, why? And I was like, dude, it's hard. And he was like, yeah, you know, it's only hard if you're a good dad, right? It's only hard if you actually like care and you try to do your best and all that stuff. Because if you don't, like, it's not hard. You know, you're not beating yourself up. You're not like saying like, oh, you're not holding yourself at a certain standard. And so like the fact that sometimes like things feel like really hard because you're doing them right, it's because you care, because you're trying to do the best that you can in all those aspects. And he was like, he gave me like great advice, and he was like, to just be where your 2 feet are, right? Just like be there in the moment with him. Forget about the whole day that was bad at work. Forget about all the other obligations. Forget about like everything else that makes you like, you know, be the provider, the protector, all those other things. When you're with him, just be with him, play with him, listen to him, all that stuff. And it was when you mentioned that right now, just being, you know, being there and being intentional and being present, it just reminded me like our entire conversation was playing in my head. And there's this movie. I've been telling you to watch this movie for like 3 years now. I don't know if you've watched it yet or not. It's called Born a Champion. Have you watched it yet?
Tell me about it. I haven't watched it yet.
There's this scene in this movie that I love, and it says basically like a good dad or a good father is not supposed to tell his son how to live his life. He's just supposed to live it correctly and let him watch. Right? And they're watching, man. Like that is so true. It's like what they see you doing, they will pick up. Like kids are so much smarter than we give them credit for, you know? So anyway, on this new journey of me, you know, being a dad of a toddler and, you know, a baby and going through all those stages, that resonates with me a bunch. You know, that's something that keeps me wanting to do my best to give him the best possible example, you know, trying to teach him how to be a good man, you know? And yeah, that's, I'm happy that you kind of like picked, you know, this topic of like talking about family and all that stuff in our first podcast together here in your new podcast, because it's something that it's always top of mind for me, right? It's always one of my main priorities. Like, okay, how am I doing as a dad? How am I doing as a husband? You know, not to say that sometimes I just don't recognize myself as like, oops, I'm messing up here. Like, I have to go and dial it up a little bit, or I have to be more intentional about it. But yeah, it's definitely for sure like a top priority for me.
Very good. I like what you said that your friend said, man, because that sounds like what you're living by. And it's like it's enough care there for you to always want to do better. Like anything that we value, we want to do better at it. So I think it's important not to just coast as a parent, but really look at and be interested in how can I do better? All right, what can this person tell me? What maybe information can this person share with me that'll help me be a better parent? Or self-evaluation and being honest about our self-evaluation as according to like, how can I do better as a parent? What can I do? I think another thing I like that you said was shout out to Christian, whose album was called The Kids Are Watching. But they're watching. So I believe kids do or learn from 10% of what you do or what you tell them, 90% of what you show them. So they're always watching. That can be health. That can be what you do with your time. That can be your relationship with God. Like they're hearing one thing. You're telling them like, hey, you can be anything you want in this world. You can be anything. All right, Dad. All right, Mom. But what are you doing? Are you content not going for your dreams? So I always tell people, man, let your kids see you rise, and sometimes they'll see you fail. But what they should see you is for you to strive for whatever your goals are, whether it's a weight loss goal. Let them see you be consistent. You say you want to do something, do it. You know what I'm saying? Because these are the things that they're going to take in, that's going to apply to them for the rest of their life. And I think so much we want to tell them the right way, but we have to like put the effort in, which is kind of like people don't want to do it because it takes more effort, and show them the right way more than tell them. Right. They're watching, man. They're watching. Their eyes are glued to us. You know what I'm saying? Even when we think they're not, even when we think I'm teaching them better by telling them better. They're watching, you know what I'm saying, for single parents. They're watching who you date, how many people you date, how you treat your spouse. For married couples, they're watching how dad treats mom or how mom treats dad. They're watching this interaction. They're watching how parents greet each other. They're watching how y'all argue. They're watching how much y'all show each other affection. All that stuff they're watching and they're soaking up. More than just us telling them, or we're expecting them to get their gist of how couples operate off of Instagram, YouTube, right, or the new Avengers movie or something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's like much more hands-on and much more present and much more accountable to what you're doing and what you're showing, more than just what you're telling.
For sure. I mean, like, I think, you know, having a family is, you know, the biggest blessing that you can have. As a man, I think, like, you have to be ready for it. You know, the same thing with kids. right? It's like having kids is a blessing, but it's one of those things that like you're almost never ready for. But in a way, as a man, you kind of have to be somewhat ready for it, right? You have to have already lost that immaturity of you being just, you, like you only caring about you. You have to let go of a lot of the things of when you were younger and the priorities that you had back then, because now it's not just you. Now you have like, a core group of people that you have to take care of, that you're responsible for. For those people out there that are believers, it's like God is entrusting us with a group of people that we are not responsible for. Right. And so it's not like something to take lightly, in my opinion. I think it's, there's just so many things to be thankful for, so many blessings. But again, like with those blessings comes a lot of responsibility, a lot of sacrifice. It's one thing to talk about like, how fulfilling it is to have a beautiful family or to be blessed with a son or a daughter. But there's also like a lot of responsibilities, a lot of sacrifices.
People forget that. Like even if you go off of scripture where it says man should be the head, most men would take that and boast in it. Like, yeah, that means we do what I say when I say. But really, that's not what it meant. It meant kind of what you were talking about. Like the responsibility rests on you. When God came into the garden and saw they had eaten the apple, or not the apple, but they had tasted the fruit, he didn't even address Eve. He addressed Adam first. You know what I'm saying? So we being the head, it's not this. It shouldn't stroke our ego. It should make us step our game up. Because now we're responsible for this unit here, this family, this group of people, this kids, wife, you know what I'm saying? We responsible there, so it should be a call to raise your game up more than, I get to kick my feet up and be bossy.
Yeah, there's a difference between, being a boss and being a leader, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it is. It's like from the leadership perspective, it's like, there's this really good book with Simon Sinek. It's called Leaders Eat Last, right? And that's kind of like the embodiment of like you as the head of the family. It's like you have to put everyone else's needs first before you. And that's what you're there for. That's what, to make sure that they're taken care of, to make sure that they have what they need. And obviously you need to take care of yourself as well, because you need to be good in order to be able to provide that security, that, that safety, all that good stuff. But I mean, to be that is to let go of our selfishness, of the things that we do want to do sometimes, and just make sure that they are our first priority, right? At least that's how I interpret it. And I think sometimes it's tough to do. Sometimes we all want to be a little selfish. So sometimes we all want to do some of the things that we want to do.
Or we want to take the easy route, man.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of the times, like you don't, like you said, it's not like, oh, you should listen to me because I'm the head. It's like you earn that respect, right? Like you earn the respect of your wife, of your kids when you do all those things. Because when you do all those things, it's visible. Like they can see it, and they know deep in their hearts that it's like, okay, their dad has their back. Their husband has their back. And like gratitude is a real thing, man. Like people, we are all instilled with that. We all want to do something that somebody that does something nice for us. We want to do something nice in return.
Yep.
And so like when you're planning all of that goodwill and you are taking care of them, you will earn that respect, and it will just happen like automatically, where you don't have to be an authoritarian, like you will listen to me because I am. It will happen organically. I mean, it's a byproduct of you doing the right things. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. To go back to that thought I had of a leader versus a manager. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get the two confused. A manager is going to follow protocol. They're going to follow tradition. A leader is going to say, I'm coming in to make things better. I'm coming in to change things and grow things. So as men being head of household, head of a relationship, head of a family, we should take that as like not just maintaining, but all right, the driving force should be like, how can I make my family better? I'm seeing holes. I'm seeing what's slacking. I'm seeing what's great, and I'm adjusting it, and I'm pulling us forward and up in this motion constantly. And that's a full-time job. That's a full-time job. And but it's heavy as the crown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Heavy as the crown. So that's why I say, like, yeah, head of the household, head of the family, king, all these other words we affiliate with being the manly man in charge. But yeah, there's also, you know what I'm saying, that responsibility to grow this, just like in a company. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of this. There's that responsibility where everybody's looking at you at a certain point in time, like, all right, where are we going? How are we getting better? What's improving? And if things aren't improving, it can fall through different cracks. But it all comes to you. It's all on your shoulders in the end of the day. And we should embrace that. And we should like that. Plus, God gave us a helpmate in our wives or you know what I'm saying, girlfriends, whatever somebody have. That, you know what I'm saying? You have this person who's a power. And I do think, not to get too far off topic, but they have created a dynamic of competition between spouses. And we have to shake that off, man. We really have to shake that off in the family. When I come through the door, I'm not looking to compete. I compete with the world. When I'm coming home, I'm looking for peace. And she's looking for embrace and nurturing and all this stuff. And we're supposed to be that for each other, not in competition with each other. Like, you're supposed to be my best friend, the person who has my back, second in the world. And that goes for both of them. You know what I'm saying? I think that has to come back in. Like the powers that be or whatever, push the thing of competition and are we equal? And it's like, we're not equal. We're not equal in the sense of, if a carpenter comes to your house to work on your house and he had a toolbox full of hammers, you probably would have him fired because he's not capable of doing the work. So I don't want to be equal. A hammer and a hammer doesn't get the job done. Now you have a hammer and a screwdriver and a nail and this and that. So your power's in your position.
Right.
So we're not supposed to be equal. We're supposed to be different. And that's what's supposed to make us a power couple. We're not in a competition. Not to believe the hype online, the hype in movies where you just see a husband and a wife competing constantly. And then that's what we kind of adopted as our norm in relationships. And now it's not a competition, man. We have the same end goal, man. To be good to each other, to nurture each other, to grow each other, to protect each other, to be each other's peace and each other's best friend and each other's biggest supporter, and to take this family together into the proper direction that would benefit the whole group.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, I don't know where it came from, right? I just don't. But for whatever reason, I think, like, the role of the wife at some point was perceived as diminished. And so that's where, like, they wanted things or you know, the whole movement started with, like, equality and all of that stuff, right? But like you said, it's perfectly fine to be different and be great at different things. It complements, like, right? Like Jen and I, for example, we're hyper competitive. We're very, very competitive. But I think, like, healthy competition is okay in those little things, right? Not in, like, what our roles are as a team, as a one unit, right? It's like, it's just like in a business. Like when you, let's say that I start a business and I'm really good at sales. I'm not going to go and hire somebody that is really good at sales, right? Because then we're both going to have, like, a lot of sales where you're going to sell a lot of people, and then our operations are going to go on fire.
Right.
So normally, you know, your entrepreneurs, your founders, your visionaries, you know, they have a way with people. They you know, they're creative. They have the ideas. They have the vision. But as a rule of thumb, most of them are not that great at operations. So at first you want, like, either an executive assistant that is like very organized and can keep things on track and like put all the ideas like organized somewhere where like you are able to implement, or like you have like a CEO who's going to take care of like all the daily operations and things within the company.
Right.
But yeah, you get somebody that has a different skill set than you do to be able to complement each other. And I think it's the same thing in a marriage. Outside of like those things that are the things that matter most, Jen and I are like hyper competitive. We're always like betting on something or seeing what else we could. But it's just a way for us to like blow some steam, or just like our friendly competition. It just brings us together, I think.
Right. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
That sounds very healthy, man. That sounds very healthy. And that's a different way, but it's plenty of ways. But that's one way to bring fun back into relationships.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't just be a honeymoon stage and then we all just kind of concede to get along. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It should be like, man, no, it's fun. Now, everything is a roller coaster. If me and you might butt heads. So anybody you spend enough time with and you have some relationship, whether it's friendship, familyship, whatever, partnership, workship, whatever with, you're going to have this roller coaster. It's going to be ups and downs. Same thing with a relationship or a marriage. But at the same time, there should be effort involved in keeping like the key moral dynamic, which is like being this person's peace, protecting this person.
Yes.
Because a man might protect her physically, but a woman protects a man's heart. So protection, providing something, meaning not I'm loved based on the condition of what I provide, but I look to provide these things. Like I look to provide a softness. I look to provide an interest in what your dreams and a support of whatever you're doing. So I think all these, and there's a couple of more, but these moral things should be kept. But an important part that a lot of people forget is the fun involved in this. And I think in relationships even, not to get into too much of the relationship expert guy, but I'm just saying I think that it would be healthy if we treated it like a business. Like we had a weekly or a monthly meeting, like, hey, man, these are some of the problems I'm seeing with each other, and if we come into it kind of uninvested as far as emotionally. And we come into it like we would a business meeting, like, hey, these are the problems I'm running into. I wanted to bring these to the forefront. Okay, I wanted to discuss this. These are issues I'm having, instead of just letting stuff build up until there's some crash out.
I think like that sounds great, and depends on the personalities that you're gonna run into. It may work or it may not. When you come into a relationship without the emotion and the vulnerability, I think you are gonna have a hard time with, as a rule of thumb. Again, majority of women are a bit more emotional than men, I would say, right?
Agreed.
And so like therefore you have to be able to meet them with the way that they feel hurt, right? Because for me, for example, this is something that I struggle with for a number of years. And I've, gotten like a ton of coaching, a ton of therapists, a ton of things that I've done to get better at. Because it's really silly to think that you can get like so much better at something that you're not good at without help of someone. Just because it's something that is not like tangible, right? Or like, for example, like if I wanted to get better at just insert skill, X, whatever skill, like normally, let's say for work, I would go and find courses, I would go and find, resources, or I would go and find a mentor. I think it's the same thing in things that are abstract, like relationships or like inner stuff that you have to work through, like your own traumas, your own things, right? And so the way that you describe that, I think it will work very well with two people that are just very analytical. But when you have the other side, a lot of the times, things are not going to make sense. A lot of the times, people just need to be heard. They just need to feel heard, or they just need to feel validated, even if we don't like fully agree with it. Now, where I struggle with a bunch is like, where's the line, right? Where's the line between just being empathetic enough for like you make them feel heard, you understand how they're feeling and why they're feeling that way, even if it doesn't make sense to you. And where is like the point of like, okay, now you're just enabling somebody to act and feel and say whatever they want, right? Like, because there should be that line. And I think like, again, that's one of the things where like, it's really tough to figure it out. But that's the beautiful thing of relationships, right? It's not like an exact science. Like, it's not chess.
Right.
Like, it's never gonna be chess. Chess is a solved game. Like, if you make the right move and consistently, you will win. In a relationship is different. Like, it's not a solved like math problem, right? So we can't approach it as much. I think like what you said would bring a ton of clarity and will bring a lot of like just the structure, which is definitely something that you need in a relationship. But if you're trying to convey that clarity and that structure and the other person is not listening to it because for whatever reason they perceived that you're showing up like emotionless, like all the efforts that you're trying to put in will go wasted. Does that make
both
sense?
of them should understand that we're both invested. We both invested emotionally. There's a lot of love here. There's a lot of this here. But at the same time, when I'm saying these meetings, maybe weekly meetings, let's say, and they could be as short as 10 minutes. But I'm saying everybody, a lot of people have emotions. But I'm saying turn the volume down on emotions a little bit. Yeah. So I can come to you in a safe place and tell you, and it's not always about what's wrong. It could be what's right. But I think we turn the volume down and they agree to look to just not turn it off, but turn the volume down. So it could be this safe place. And by safe, I mean a place where you're free to voice your opinion, speak on things that might have bothered you or things that you might look for this other person to adjust so we could work better in this environment. I think that's important. And somebody should be able to do that if they're emotionally mature enough to be in a marriage or relationship. They should be able to say, you know what, I'm going to listen, I'm going to hear you out, and I'm going to try to understand you without letting my emotions say, wait, he doesn't like my cooking, or what, she doesn't like the dress I bought her, or I forgot her birthday, she doesn't understand, or whatever. But even the guy and the girl turn the emotions down a little bit during this meeting to really give way to hearing each other out and getting a better understanding, all going back to that big C word, communication.
Yes. Communication is definitely the most important thing, man. And like I said, that is part of what I was saying before. Is like, okay, you're trying, like, let's say that you're putting in all of these things and the structure in place and whatnot. The goal is the same one. The goal is to better the relationship, right? It's just like, if the other person is not perceiving it that way, you're just in two different channels. And so, like, in order to get on the same channel, the main tool that you're going to use is communication. It's communicating the right way and making sure that, like, what you're trying to convey is being understood, right? So yeah, I mean, man, relationships, like, we can be on here for hours and talk about, like, so many different things. Like, I've been, like, really blessed to have the resources to be able to, hire the coach or get the program or whatever. Because, I mean, there is a lot of, like, free information out there, like we were talking before. But a lot of the times you do need somebody to kind of, like, be your coach or your referee or the person that's going to give you, like, the insight, right? Like, so thankfully, I've had that, the ability to be able to access those resources. But, for people that are looking for that, it's a great time because, like you said, there's so much information out there now. So if you want to get better at whatever it is, whether the relationship with your husband, with your wife, with your kids, with God, like, there's so many places to go and look for resources to be able to say like, okay, I just learned this today and opened up my mind a little bit. I'm gonna, try to put it in practice and see how it impacts my relationship.
And people also need to turn off the switch, like we were talking about, to kind of bring it headway, is seek professional help.
Yeah,
like because if you're just going online and you're going through it with your partner in a relationship, it's gonna stand out like looking for a red car. All cars are red.
Yeah,
it's gonna stand out like, but you're taking in what this person is going through, what this person is personally going through, maybe the relationships they've been through, maybe what they've been through lately, and you're eating that, and then you're coming home and you're kind of having that kind of energy and thought.
Yeah.
So these are not professionals on Instagram or Facebook voicing their opinion about your relationships, whether it's all men cheat, all women cheat, keep your finances separate, keep them together. Whatever their opinion is, that's their take in life. So don't go to them. Try to seek out professional help if you're going to get help or guidance, or read some books that are, do some studying of this guy's take on relationships. If you're going the relationship route or whatever route, I'm saying don't take advice from anybody with a camera phone, because then you'll be taking advice from everybody.
Yeah, no, for sure. That reminds me, like, there was this one time where there was this group, right? It's kind of like a support group. I was talking to this one person, and she was just telling me the stuff that it was being shared on that group, and how she felt like she wanted to kill her husband, like after going through that stuff and whatnot. And then we went over it and stuff, and we're like, it's not, like you're literally taking advice from people that have been hurt, that haven't dealt with the trauma, that haven't have unresolved issues with around similar experiences, and they're giving you the advice that a wounded, hurt person that hasn't dealt with that would give, which is not going to do you any better. It's not going to help you any. So like you said, yes, for sure. Just seek, professional help, or at least find good resources that are not just random people's opinions on the matter. At least, you're gonna find good and bad everywhere you go, and normally the bad tends to be the more explosive, inflammatory suggestions. And nobody's saying you have to be super passive or just take it, but a lot of the times when you are in these type of settings where there are groups or just communities that are not regulated, but a person that is gonna know what's best for you, or that has that training, a lot of the comments that are more inflammatory and explosive are the ones that you don't want to listen to.
Agreed,
in my opinion,
man. What a dope subject, family. Both of us could go on about this all day, man. I appreciate you being on the podcast. Appreciate you opening up and, giving us some personal insight and some direction of what people can do to move in a positive direction in their life and their journey and their relationship journey as well, man. Again, appreciate you being on, Andrew.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I really want to keep watching all the other episodes that you put out there. I think you're taking the time to provide all this information to your audience. You being a professional boxer, you have a platform. You can influence a lot of people. You can, try to guide a lot of people just to have the right type of content that they need to be watching to continue leveling up their lives, right? So thank you for taking the time, man. It's huge that you're doing this. I'm super proud of you.
And all glory be to God, man. Yes, it's time to revolt, man. It's time for people to do more and be more, and in turn be more so you can do more, man. It's just time to elevate, man. So that's what all this is about. It's just elevation, man. Righteous elevation, man. Being better than you were yesterday, bro.
That's awesome.
Appreciate y'all tuning in. Check us out. We'll have something on next week. Again, it's Kahlil, a.k.a. King. Y'all be blessed.
It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt. My people, it's time to revolt. It's time to revolt. Save up your money. It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt. They know that we coming. It's time to revolt. It's time to revolt.